Hey, it's Denise. I just wanted to do a quick little follow-up to the video that I did on freezing eggs. If you get a good bargain on eggs, or if you have backyard chickens, or if you have a neighbor who has backyard chickens, whatever the reason that you have more eggs than you think you can use, for me personally, the reason was, as someone who has asthma and is the single parent of a child with asthma, I certainly do not want to expose myself to going to the grocery stores and potentially getting sick. So I really, really try to limit going to the store as infrequently as possible. So if I can stock up on something like eggs, I do. And when Walmart had like the double bundle, like the 18 pack, they had 2 of them together. So basically 36 eggs for a really total sale price. So I had grabbed one of those. Now it's just me and my son. So are we going to eat that many eggs quickly? No. So I had shown in that video how, and again, the idea is not original, it's not my own. I had seen other people freeze eggs using silicone baking pans. So the pan I used to freeze my eggs, obviously you can't freeze them in the shell. Don't try that; it doesn't go well. But this is like standard, like if you're doing a muffin size, say. So happens to be Halloween themed, but it really doesn't matter the theme, as long as it's food grade silicone. You just crack your eggs in here. For me, actually, like, 1 large egg was pretty much a good size for each cavity. So I have, and they popped out with no problem once they were frozen. So I have 2 dozen whole eggs frozen in my freezer now. And then I had to realize that there are recipes that call for either just egg whites or egg yolks. I am trying to keep the cooking interesting. I'm trying not to just be heating up the same old thing every night. So I have been binge watching Food Wishes. So I don't know if you watch Food Wishes. Chef John is great. He makes like the most complicated dish. He makes you feel like you could probably actually make it yourself. But I did notice as I was binging watching Chef John there that he is one of my favorite YouTubers. I noticed, how often to get just the right consistency or texture on something that he's using just egg whites, or he might even be like at one point in the recipe you're whipping the whites with some portion of the ingredients, and then later in the recipe you're using the yolks for something else. So it's not even necessarily like you're not using them all, but you're using them separately to get the best results. So now these, I have 3 of them. These are just cheap dollar store, cheap plastic ice cube trays. And as you can see, they're smaller than your standard ice cube tray. So when I decided to split my eggs into whites and yolks, a yolk fits perfectly. I was using large eggs. A yolk fits perfectly, even has a little bit of space. But I noticed the white of an egg, some of them fit and some of them needed to spill over a little bit into the next one. So it just so happened these have 15 holes, and I had 15 eggs left in that second pack, of the double pack that I'd gotten. So I ended up with 1 tray of 15 yolks, and I ended up with a tray plus 3 more of the whites from those same eggs. So definitely, there's more white to an egg than there is yolk, and I, in order not to have them spilling all over, if it looked like it was getting too full, I just started the next one. So definitely you want to keep that in mind, that your yolks are, and again, these are small, cheap And they're not silicone, so they did not just pop out. What I ended up doing, I would recommend using something with a slightly larger cavity, like, maybe a not so cheap ice cube tray, simply because, like I said, that I was just using large eggs, not like jumbo eggs or anything, and the yolks fit fine, but the white, sometimes one egg white was too much to fill one of these cavities. Now, because they're not silicone and you can't like turn them inside out to get the eggs out, what I ended up doing, because I did like the twisting thing like you would do to get your ice cubes to kind of release, and it didn't work. So I just filled a bowl with hot water. I took like a big mixing bowl with hot water and just kind of sat this and held it so that, just like the bottom was kind of just touching the hot water for a minute or so, and then, started twisting them around a little bit and was able to wiggle them out. Some of them I had to kind of, push one end and then they kind of popped out. But no major big deal. Within a couple minutes I had them all out. Right now I have 2 trays of, the next thing I'm making is half and half cubes. Now you might be saying, why? I'm not an everyday coffee drinker. I stopped at Stewart's, the convenience store. If you're not somewhere where they have Stewart's, it's like a gas station and a convenience store. The one near my house is nice. They got a pretty decent little grocery selection, for a convenience store. And I got some half and half, and I'm doing that. I think these smaller ice cube trays are going to be perfect, so that if I do make coffee, I'm totally like, my tea, don't mess with my tea. Little splash of milk, tiny bit of sugar, and if either of those things are missing, that's okay, because I buy quality tea and I like the way it tastes. Coffee, not so much a coffee person. Big on adding flavors and sugars and milk or cream as the, whatever's available. So I decided I would do the half and half in these in the freezer so I could pop one of these out, and I figured, so not only will I be adding the half and half to my coffee, but it'll also cool it down to a drinkable temperature. So those are in the freezer now. So basically, I've got the 2 dozen whole eggs, the 15 divided yolks and whites. I have a plastic bag where I whisked up 6 eggs and then just put them in a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag, laid them nice and flat in the freezer. So those I can defrost just to make scrambled eggs with. And now I'm doing my half and half cubes. So that is what I'm doing in terms of taking stuff that's perishable and making it last longer. I will probably come up with other things that I can think of that, rather than let them go bad, that, either to freeze them or dehydrate them. But I was looking like at the cake mixes and things I have, and it's like, yes, those things are shelf stable for a long time. So if there becomes a problem with the grocery store hours, or, if the rate of infection out there goes up and people aren't comfortable, I certainly don't love having to go to the store. And like I said at the beginning, I limit it as much as possible. But if I can buy something, and as something as simple as freezing it will let me just, say, buy a larger amount, and then I don't have to go to the store so often, to me, that's totally worth it. I would much rather do that. And that's it. I just remember, if you have silicone, if you have, smaller I would go with that because it's so much easier to get something out of a silicone pan. Because, I mean, you can like turn it inside out to pop the thing out. Whereas, like I said, with this, they didn't want to come out even doing that twisty motion. So I did have to kind of sit it in hot water just at the bottom to get them to loosen up just enough. And then with the twisty motion and kind of banging on them a little bit, they came out. But it's just an idea I wanted to share with everybody to help you. Nobody wants to waste food at this point. And certainly if you get out to the store and you're able to get your hands on what you want, you don't want it going bad before you use it. I hope everyone's doing well, stay inside, practice social distancing, and keep your spirits up. Have a great day.